Threat or survival? The neon-lit streets of Dirus hummed with tension, flickering signs casting distorted shadows across the metallic walls. At the heart of the ward, Latika and Estelle stood locked in a fierce argument, their voices echoing against the cold steel.
You know what? Maybe I should just join the Stellar Order.
Estelle spat, her words laced with defiance.
You'll be dead there for sure. How do you know you're not just being used as an experiment?
Latika's voice cut through the air like a knife, each word laced with frustration.
At least I get to live longer and serve the universe for a good cause.
Estelle shot back, her eyes alight with conviction.
Why are you so blind? Why can't you see?
Latika demanded, her fists clenched at her sides, desperation creeping into her voice. Before Estelle could respond, Arlo burst into the scene, his usual calm replaced with agitation.
You both are blind and oblivious,
he declared as he stepped between the two.
Go take that up to your parents. You don't belong in this conversation.
Latika snapped, her expression hardening. Estelle, breathing heavily with frustration, interrupted with a commanding tone.
Get out, you two! Now!
Don't raise your—
Get out!
Estelle's voice rang with authority, drowning out the chaos. Arlo bickers and exits the ward while Latika turns her back on Estelle. In the Diego's dojo, tension was palpable in the air. The students inside shifted anxiously, clutching hands in anticipation, awaiting word from their Jahezi.
Calm down, guys. Let's just wait for what Jahezi has to say,
Noah urged, trying to ease the rising anxiety.
It seems serious,
Mavi noted, her brow furrowed.
I'm all for this,
Ima said, letting out a light laugh to momentarily cut the tension. Pari chimed in.
I am too. Dirus has been swarming in with political pollution. It's getting boring.
Kade frowned.
I don't think you understand what's happening.
Noah shook his head.
We all don't. Let's just wait for Jahezi, okay?
The dojo door swung open and Tiago strode in, concern etched across his face.
Jahezi.
Kade saluted, but it was clear that even their seasoned mentor was on edge. Tiago's voice sliced through the chatter, commanding attention.
We have intel that primal droids are drawing near the atmospheric border of Dirus.
Primal intervention? Awesome!
Pari's eyes sparkled with a mix of excitement and dread.
Why do you sound excited?
Tiago shot back, raising an eyebrow.
I read about them in—
You can tell me later.
Tiago cut in sharply.
Right now, the aim is to gather the families in this village and the next into the cave shelter by the valley.
Kade blinked in disbelief.
We have a shelter?
We built one in case something like this happens.
Tiago responded, his voice steady despite the rising panic around him.
Even if everyone could fit inside, getting them to go inside would be challenging.
Noah warned, his face pale as the possibility sank in.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone would think we're lunatics leading a bunch of sheep to their death.
Kade added, running a hand through his hair. Tiago sighed, pushing the weight of the moment off his shoulders.
Yes, and the association's interference might make it worse.
He paused, gathering himself before continuing.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Warn your families of an approaching storm undetectable to our tower's incompatible radar. With the primals landing their ships, it'll cause vibrations, enough to make everyone move.
Oh my god, is this real?
Kade whispered, his eyes wide with disbelief.
It couldn't be closer to home.
Tiago replied, his voice low. Noah swallowed hard.
How long do we have?
An hour tops, prior to their pods landing.
Tiago answered, the urgency in his tone casting a pall over the room.
Ah, shit.
Kade muttered, dread settling in. Noah turned to Ima, confidence seeping into his voice.
Ima's very good at delegating. Ima should take the lead.
For sure.
Ima agreed, steeling his resolve.
I have faith in all of you,
Tiago said, his gaze sweeping across their faces, determination radiating from him.
Remember your training. Listen to your Zahi. Work together. I have to deal with the association.
Tiago concluded, preparing to step back into the fray of chaos laying just beyond the dojo's doors.
All right, move. No time to waste.
Noah shouted, nudging the group back into action, the looming threat of the primal droids casting long shadows over their fates. Dyrus was about to face its darkest hour, but together perhaps they could turn the tide. Tiago is seen by the guards at the front ingress of the Association's looming wall, a bitter reminder of a time when unity held strength. The air crackled with tension, charged as much by the distant rumblings that echoed ominously from beyond the horizon.
"Hold it right there,"
Druvis barked, positioning himself like a sentry, muscles tensed as he eyed the solitary figure approaching the gates.
It's just me,
came the reply, a voice laden with urgency that did little to dissipate the unease hanging in the air. Magimo scoffed, merely glancing at the intruder.
I thought you were told never to set foot here again.
If I don't, none of you will live to see this foundation rot.
Tiago shot back, his words a cold dagger aimed at their hearts.
What's this guy talking about?
Magimo crossed his arms, skepticism etched across his brow.
"Jahezis don't lie,"
Druvis stated flatly, his gaze unwavering.
Metaphorically, they could.
Magimo rebutted, but his jest was lost on the gravity of the moment. In the distance, rumbling grew more pronounced, a storm gathering momentum and intent.
I don't have time for this.
Tiago sighed, wells of anxiety evident in his voice.
Xaros.
Iago.
Xaros acknowledged, tilting his head slightly, studying the urgency etched upon the Jahezis' face.
I didn't expect to see you this soon,
Xaros muttered, eyebrows drawing together as he gauged the man's state.
It's quite urgent,
Tiago pressed, desperation clawing at his composure. Xaros chuckled dismissively, a snicker rising from the pit of disbelief.
Really?
Danger is fast approaching. I suggest you shelter your clans and families,
Tiago stated, a tremor of urgency lacing his every word.
From what?
Xaros questioned, his brow furrowing.
Primal droids are on their way here. They're here for the Stellarborn.
Are you drunk?
Xaros scoffed, the absurdity of Tiago's claim overwhelming his thought process.
I wish I was.
Tiago retorted with a weary sigh. Xaros escalated his taunts, mimicking the absurdity of the claim.
Explain this primal droid intervention.
Laughter from Druvis and Magimo echoed behind them, a wall of disbelief that threatened to insulate them from the encroaching threat.
I'm just doing my part as a Jahezi, making sure I guide souls to safety.
Tiago continued, his voice strained.
I know your association has shelters built for perilous storms that might enter our cities. I hope they all run to safety, unless you'd rather watch everyone before you die one by one. It's evidently all on you,
he concluded, his gaze hardening.
My final gift for you, Xaros. You will need it.
With a swift, decisive motion, Tiago tossed a serum in the air, which Xaros instinctively caught as it glimmered ominously between his fingers. Tiago turned his back on them, walking away as the weight of his words hung heavily in the air.
Druvis, follow me,
Xaros said, his demeanor shifting from skepticism to urgent resolve.
Open the shelters. If a storm does churn, you know what to do,
he ordered vehemently.
Wait, what?
Druvis exclaimed, astonished.
But you said...
Magimo stammered, clearly confused by the turn of events.
I know what I said,
Xaros corrected, his tone fierce.
I'd rather be safe than lose all that I love.
Understood.
Magimo replied grimly, the gravity of the situation dawning upon him.